Yo, imagine Drake's writes one of the best verses in the last 10 years in 11 minutes just right now. I've always said though, like...
you get too excited when you talk about Drake.
Bro, I like talking about greatness, man.
I know, but like, I'm up here with you, and it's like you getting too hype, and I don't want to
Bro, we talk about hip-hop though. This is just hip-hop talk.
I know, but you just get too turned.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest though. This is what I've always said though, right? You see, Drake has matched his level of greatness and his peak mad times.
It is becoming more and more clear that even though there are some fans who have strangely stuck by Drake through everything, some of his biggest fans are starting to follow suit and support everything he does, no matter how embarrassing it may be. This is because Drake has done something that we have never seen in the history of hip-hop, and everyone is reacting to it. At the center of it all is DJ Akademiks. AK seems to have had to make a choice because Drake is now trying to improve his image at any cost, and AK has been repeating his delusions more and more. Rap feuds have reached a new level as a result of Drake's recent actions. He had two choices: either embrace the poorest move in hip-hop history and lose what credibility he still had, or voice his thoughts on this genre-shifting issue and risk endangering his odd connection with Drake. By bucking the Drake pattern, he infuriated his admirers, who are also Drake devotees. When AK made a decision, a lot of people, including myself, were shocked by what he actually did. When the stakes are this high, this is the first time he has ever spoken out against Drake and chastised him for this ridiculous move. However, Alaska's career is starting to seem almost as dire as Drake's, since he has abruptly turned against the man and his fan base who have been his staunchest supporters. Because after being rejected by the rest of hip-hop, Alaska is now being kicked out of the core of Team Drake. Following the recent issue, it seems that both of them were caught lying as a result of this action by DJ Akademiks. Then, in an effort to expose LeBron James, Alaska made Drake look worse than ever overall, further embarrassing both Drake and himself. In one of the strangest circumstances AK has ever experienced, he came to the realization that maybe he is overreacting to the Drake problem, and that he shouldn't be attempting to defend another man's reputation to the extent that he is. Because in his most recent broadcast after reading the entire Drake lawsuit, Alaska made some odd and disparaging remarks about Drake. In a time when OVO and Drake fans are all attempting to advance the same narratives to defend and support their guy in this chapter, where he has done the weakest things and people are turning against him more and more by the second, Alaska called the suit ridiculous, which went against what OVO was trying to do to help Drake. Then, because he was so embarrassed by what he was reading, and apparently because he had been defending this man so vehemently, he started to laugh at some of the ridiculous accusations the lawsuit was trying to make about what Not Like Us was originally trying to depict about Drake. The best part of this is that Drake fans were yelling at AK and telling him to stop laughing because they have been attempting to persuade everyone, including AK, that they must all stand together and defend Drake for everything in order to destroy hip-hop in the industry and protect Drake's name. Again, Alaska ended this ridiculous way of thinking and acting by merely creating this fan base and community, which is now depriving the OVO community as a whole of any depth or individuality. AK also chastised Drake during that time. He went on to claim that he isn't the one making Drake look bad at the moment, because Drake fans who can't take accountability or face reality think that AK is the one making him look bad by attacking him instead of Drake's actions. AK went off on a lengthy digression and stressed that he hasn't done anything to damage Drake's reputation, but rather that the materials he is reading and the concept behind it all is rap music in general. This is one of the rare occasions when AK isn't doing everything in his ability to support Drake. The fact that AK is now seeing the detrimental effects of all of this on hip-hop says a lot. In keeping with his tangent, which could cost AK his job, he got so frustrated with Drake's general lack of confidence that he just stated that he needs to stop putting himself in the spotlight. He has to step away from the limelight for a bit, stop playing awkward practical jokes and taking selfies in front of the mirror, and start behaving like a nice guy. And again, Alaska, who has gone through so much for Drake, is now betraying him and revealing the truth about everything, which is plainly ridiculous in light of the world we are all living in. Now that AK has quit, the OVO community is done with him. They are angry and feel duped by the man who has been leading the effort to save Drake's reputation up to this point. The fact that Drake's fans and those close to him have reached a point where there is no room for discussion, or even for someone to express their opinion regarding Drake's wrongdoing, I mean, this alone explains why Drake's career is in the current state and why his decline keeps getting worse, begs the question of what all of this means for AK. Because as this entire situation makes clear, nobody is trying to give him any other ideas that could actually help him. Instead, they are just repeating whatever ideas he wants to express, even if they are inaccurate or embarrassing to hip-hop culture in general. The fact that DJ Akademiks, who has openly criticized Drake, has come to the conclusion that he can no longer tolerate how out of touch Drake, OVO, and their entire community are is also a revealing sign of Drake's decline. Because if someone who has had AK's reputation and loyalty abruptly quits the ship and speaks negatively about him in such a way, that should be the only sign that you need to start reevaluating your strategy. Even if all of this suggests that Drake has reached a breaking point, DJ Akademiks is being severely harmed by his situation. Because of the choices AK took in 2024 and up to this moment, which have involved him backing Drake and acting as the mouthpiece for whatever narratives he wanted to push across, he has more closely associated Drake's success and fan base than anybody else. Since the Drake community as a whole has lost any sense of nuance and AK is unable to think differently from the rest, Drake supporters throughout the world are incensed with AK and seem to be rejecting anything he says going forward. Speaking out against Drake specifically follows another heated argument between the two, during which Not Like Us peaked at #1 in the charts. AK clearly didn't want Drake or any of his fans to be aware of this. By proving once again that he is not as loyal to Drake and OVO as they all thought, Alaska is, in a sense, changing the perception of his entire sector of the hip-hop industry. And as a result of these increasing incidents in which AK has disobeyed Drake, they have kicked him out of their community and appointed Mal as the new leader of Team Drake and hip-hop media. Drake followers are looking for someone to just validate his delusion and the all-time low points that we are currently seeing, and all of this is taking place in this OVO echo chamber. Their portrayal of someone who is really more emotional and biased than AK and Mal as a courageous person who is standing up for what is right and who is far more strong than AK ever was is, in my opinion, the most pathetic thing. These kinds of occurrences really show how badly an artist's community and fan base are doing when circumstances are tough, since AK has now jumped off to defend Drake whenever he can. They are now letting someone like Mal, who has embarrassed himself in front of a microphone on numerous occasions, whether it was when he said that the hard part 6 inches would age and become one of the greatest diss records ever, which we all saw where that went, or when his co-host Rory attempted to get him to admit that Drake does look bad for doing this. In addition to keeping quiet about Drake, Mal supported him because he thought it was a courageous and moral thing for a musician to do. At a time when the stakes have never been higher, Mal, like Drake, has really lost everything. And in a way, if this is the person they want to lead the OVO community, then having DJ Akademiks as your top person seems like a great alternative. It will be intriguing to watch Akademiks and Drake's future developments. Since no other hip-hop fans are genuinely backing Drake at this time, his demise is having a lot of other ramifications, and people like DJ Akademiks are at a crossroads, because if OVO goes against him, he could have to entirely rebrand. Because of his bias toward Drake, and the fact that he doesn't really appreciate rap music like the rest of us, Alaska has completely lost his credibility. This is quite revealing. Since the OVO community opposes AK, they are currently done with him. Mal won't succeed in his endeavor to make Drake seem better than he actually is. Drake and AK's collaboration is advantageous to both of them, despite the fact that it's clear that they harbor a secret grudge after all the things they've done to harm each other's reputations. This is because AK helped spread Drake's ideas throughout the hip-hop community, which has been altering how some people on that side of the issue view him. Drake is aware of this, since he wouldn't have continued to use him for so long to project and promote his beliefs if it weren't the case. Therefore, OVO's attempt to fire AK might really succeed if things get worse after AK called out Drake, and AK will have to reevaluate his entire approach and future career. It will be interesting to see if Drake and AK discuss Drake's present predicament, in which he made the worst decision in the genre's history, and whether AK decides to change his mind and once again support Drake, as he always does. But for now, it seems like AK will just keep defending himself against the most ridiculous and out-of-touch Drake we have ever seen. And if this turns out to be the case, Drake and AK's careers will change drastically in every aspect. Because in addition to losing Drake's last remaining hip-hop asset, someone who can actually make noise for him, AK will also lose the only individuals who are still Drake supporters overall. Additionally, Drake is so cut off from the rest of hip-hop culture that it is too late for him to reform his ways. Thus, AK will no longer support his actions. Who can then forecast the direction of his career? People will still hear and listen to AK's opinions for some time to come, but now that Team Drake and OVO are no longer with him, he will finally understand why he should never have supported Drake so much that he connected his entire career success to his.